evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's or this morning's or this afternoon's edition of the On the Ordinary Show, wherever you happen to be listening from, or even on the replay. And really welcome to the present moment from where you're listening from now. And I am in ecstatic joy today because one of my favorite people in the world is on, but also because we have an additional guest on. This is a little bit different. Amanda Hopkins is joining us as well. And I actually get to lean back, I feel, today a lot and be with y'all receiving. And perhaps I said I might add a little spice to the call. I don't know. Definitely lead in the participation questions. And we're going to open up to a lot of Q&A from you all in the audience. So take this opportunity to raise your hand, get questions asked, because we're going to get into readings so that you can experience what Christel and Amanda bring in tandem. And the gifts that are available to you in this. So it's going to be phenomenal. With me, I invite you to sit back on the couch with me, if you will, relax, breathe in, receive, and be curious. And again, as you're prompted to, raise your hand, type your question into the chat box, and let's play today. And with that, Christel, Amanda, welcome to BTO today. So great to have you here.
Thank you. I literally was so excited. And as soon as John started this, what came over me was, oh, I'm at home. I feel like I'm home now, right? Because there's all the anticipation of coming on and making sure we connect and everything. And then it was just this feeling of home. So yes, thank you so much for having me. And Amanda, my beautiful divine light, our medical intuitive for Academy for the Soul. She's here with us today. Amanda's been working with me for how many years? So many years. And
oh my gosh, yes, it's like 8 years now. Wow.
Yes. So we've got some really juicy, good information today that we can't wait to share. We've got some things that are really supportive and also things that are pivotal that we've come across. And that's how this happened, is that I reached out to John as well with this idea. We've never done it before, so we're excited to share that with you. And Amanda plays a large role in that. And so for those of you that really don't know Amanda, she actually, with her medical intuition, has a capacity with her clairvoyance to go way deep into the body. And she loves to do work with supporting you in healing the body and the body systems, and then her ability to actually support the shifting of the body systems to allow for it to be a container for your intuition. And so as we're talking today about igniting your intuitive power, we're really talking about flipping on the switch of the heart so that you're in that 100% faith mode, right? So that you actually are fully aligned and you really feel this. And bringing Amanda in on this, there's a great balance, because so much of the work that I do is celestial and working with Archangel Metatron and Metatron's cube. And Amanda really grounds it and supports us in grounding that through the body, and really helps us identify what needs to happen in order for us to bring the high frequencies down, and not just in our body to be the embodiment, but also to take that and to offer our purpose, right? Offer the special gifts, really channel that. And so I'll be working today in guiding you along gaining new information and doing intuitive readings about your accuracy. And Amanda will do that as well, reading more on the body and the nervous system, where I'll be doing work with the energetic systems. So I think, John, you got two good ones here today to support your community. And I think you're right. You can hang out and maybe even get an intuitive reading for yourself.
I think I do want to think you read my mind. We'll get into that. Maybe we'll start with me in a little bit. You've already shared about what you do, Chris, and I think everybody in the audience is really vibing with it. And Amanda, you as well. And so this is going to be a beautiful pollination of what we're expanding into. And I want to be sure that we touch on the topic and also really hone in. So when we're asking questions, if I choose you from the audience as we play with the participants, that we're really directing what we're asking. So again, the interview today is about igniting your intuitive power. And Christel, when someone comes on, what is it that you're reading? I know that we want to get specific about whatever the block is around our intuition.
Yes, it's really about the accuracy. What's blocking that accuracy? You know, what's preventing you from actually being ignited with that intuitive power? Because you're an electrical being, right? You have intuitive power. There's energy that wants to come into you. And so there's nuances that we'll share about. So what is that block that you have to your intuitive accuracy and or from igniting your intuitive power?
Wonderful. So I say we dive into readings and just go full on.
Yeah.
If y'all are up for that. Amanda, is there anything that you want to add as I promote people to panelists?
You know, I want to add that I'm so excited to be here on this topic. And part of the reason I want to share that with you is that Christel's the one who really helped me recognize how to open up to my intuitive gifts. And I didn't even know I had these intuitive gifts to be able to read the body. And, you know, there was some elements of I was naturally doing it in the medical world, had no clue I was doing it until she was like, oh, you can read the body. And then I thought back and I'm like, oh, I've done this before. I just didn't know I was doing it. And so she's got such a mastery of what do you need to do? How do you run energy? What do you need to do? What are the tweaks that need to be made? And it's so accurate and it's worked for so many people. I've witnessed people come through and open up just like me to these intuitive gifts. So, you know, when she's like, "Ooh, do you want to come share about this with me?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I'm so passionate about this because I know how amazing it feels when you're connected in, when you can use that intuition for your own life in service, and the power that comes with that in just creating a beautiful flow and just feeling lit up." And really helping, you know, as Christel mentioned, your body becomes that container for intuition that promotes such radiant health, vitality in your body, that beautiful glow. So I'm excited. I'm grateful to be here. And I just wanted to make sure you all know that you are in such good hands with Christel sharing about how to really become accurate with your intuition.
Oh, thank you.
That's wonderful. And something I have to add to that before we go to live callers. And again, I'm promoting y'all to panelists right away. A couple of things. So first of all, and Christel, this is an old story between you and I. This was 11, 12 years ago. I'd actually reached out to Christel because she was hosting a show and I was working for someone that I wanted Christel to promote on that show and to host. And Christel's like, no, I want to talk to you. I want to interview you. It's like, no, but I'm the one that's getting the person to be interviewed. I'm not the one being, she's like, no, but it's you. And Christel's ability to hone into potential and what's igniting within you, it's absolutely incredible. She saw what was available before I even dared to see, and her encouragement and love to just bring that out says, well, look where I'm sitting now.
Oh, yeah.
And so thank you, Christel, and to shine light on that. And Amanda shares gifts that keep opening up. And so I had a reading with Amanda, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And she's even upgraded from those readings with these images. What would you call them?
Symbols, sacred symbols. And so they spin in, and I see those come into the body, the aura, wherever they need to go for you, for what you're needing, you know, whatever intention you have when we bring those in, when we recognize those and witness those, whatever that intention is, that's included, but there's always a much bigger, more expansive element that is opened up and awakened within your body and aura with those symbols when they come in. It's magnificent.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. And I'm gonna start with me so that you guys are aware of what you're in for as we continue readings. Is that good with you, Christel?
Yes.
And Amanda? All right.
Okay.
All right, on the hot seat. What, I'm blocked intuitively? Not me, no way.
All right. So let's take a look. So we just, you know, we tune into your higher self, and really what I'm looking at are 3 different areas. And these 3 areas, it's so important for them to be aligned. One is that area that's the crossover field, which I don't know if you recall, but recently you and I did that interview where we were looking at the fascia and how it literally flows the light and energy through the body and the consciousness. It's the consciousness field. The crossover field is the fascia of the aura, right? And so it delivers the messages. And just like Amanda's going to be talking about too, the nervous system. But what we're looking at is your crossover field, as well as the celestial body of your aura, which is the part of your aura that actually opens as the portal to channel. Right. And then we're going to look at your clairs and see how they're ordered. So for you, John, you're actually what we call an extrasensory intuitive, which means you fire off on all, all of the clairs at once. Right. And so what that means is across the board, you're actually working in this way that you're juggling these clairs. What I've found is in that crown chakra, your higher self is like, how do I interpret this in a way that literally is going to expand the aura instead of a little bit of this questioning of self? Because it comes in so fast. There's almost this feeling of I've got to pause. I've got to pause before I say it, and I've got to evaluate it a little bit, right? So your clairgnostic has that one of like, I need to evaluate before I communicate, right? And what I would say is the celestial body is saying, let me expand, because the way that it's going to start flowing through you as the message for others, you don't need to pause. It's going to be in real time. It literally, as you literally start to open your mouth, that information is going to come through, and it's going to come through very quickly. When we look at the crossover field where it's kind of shadowed out, and I see a little bit, almost like, think of like a chain link fence that's illuminated. There's a little part of that that's not. And again, that's in the upper right quadrant, the front side of your aura. And that again is the blockage. It looks like a past life blockage where you have to, wait, let me evaluate. And we're looking at 9 past lives ago.
Wow. Cool. That's so accurate, by the way. Messages about me withholding my truth and not speaking into everything that is and hedging and just pausing so that it can be received, or to make sure that I'm not projecting somehow. The messages have been so strong in a whole nother level. I've had them before, and I think I've done okay with them, but they're really asking me into another form of integrity with what's coming through for me.
And
Because
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, can I just add something? Because as you were talking, Christel, of course, I'm seeing what's going on in the body. And it was so interesting that you were talking about that evaluating before speaking, because what I was seeing is a box, like a little white, like a barometer, right? It's got like a little dial that says, okay, can I share this yet? And it's like, its turn. It's like, I can share to this degree. And then it'll, you can adjust it. And that's actually connecting down into the back power center. And it's linked to the fear. And it's the same past life. I scanned it. It's the same past life that Christel mentioned, those 9 past lives ago. But there's a fear of being taken out if I share it. Like I'm seeing the punch to the gut that's from that lifetime. So that's a block that you can work on releasing, that blocks that's there, and the connection in the back power center.
so how does that get released? How do I be with that so that it transcends?
Well, that's one of the things where we have to look at what is the emotion that's locking that into the back of the neck. And that's that fear of being taken out. So that's the belief. And then also doing the clearing on the timeline. So you would release the emotion, the belief, and look to see if there's a persona that's associated with that. And so that's one of Christel's specialties, where she has identified that we've got these personas or aspects of us that can take our body over. And so for you, it's the persona who is afraid of his own power, afraid of his power, it being too much, and then being shut down because of that. So you'd want to do an integration on that persona.
Oh, so beautiful. I can't wait to do my session.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, this is so on point. I see it. I've seen it in different ways, but not quite sure knowing what to do about it. Even with all the tools I have in my tool chest. So this is phenomenal. Let's go into another caller. I want them to benefit from this because I
Sure.
know I'm gonna have private time with you guys after I book my sessions. So this is fantastic. Catherine, let's go to you. Let's get you to unmute, please.
Hi. So good to
Welcome.
be here. Hi, Christel. Nice to see you and Amanda
Hi.
again, and John always.
Yes.
So, my question is the same as everyone else's. So 25 years on this very conscious path, and yet still not feeling like the messages are clear, consistent, dependable. And I feel like I'm in some kind of big up leveling right now. In fact, I just stepped off social media for a month. I've been just really and cut back on my client load just to really spend more time going in, doing meditation, journaling, whatever. So just wondering what you're seeing, and
There's an immediate blockage when we look at your clairaudience. So again, what happens is there's like an override mechanism, right? It's not that you're not getting the answers and the downloads. One of the things that we see is that your mind overrides your clairaudience. So the clairgnostic overrides the clairaudience. And this is a big issue because the clairs can battle each other. They're competitive. If we don't claim you are your higher self, right? I am my higher self, and I'm going to work in order with my clairs. So really what we have to do is we have to say that your clairgnostic can validate your clairaudience, right? It really can. And so you can ask, okay, if this is the message, what am I to know about this message? Inquire about it, right? Instead of discounting from the clairgnostic coming down and kind of batting it away, really start to get into questions. What am I to know about what I just heard? What am I to know about this? And that will be the clarifying part of your inquiry. Do you see? So if we look at that and we start to see the celestial body is kind of twisting itself around the neck, it's twisted up because it's like, why can't I just believe, right? Why can't I just believe in what's coming through and express that in real time? And the crossover field that we see is also around the heart. So there's almost like a tension in the heart space. And we see that there's underlying doubt in there. Now, it's a part of you that's doubtful. It's not you. Right? So all day long, we can all be saying, oh, but I trust my intuition. But there's parts of us that don't. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about this personas, right? As you know. So the persona is really starting to want to manipulate and control what it is that you're getting clarification on. Okay. So you'll want to work on that. And we're looking at this lifetime, and I get 6 years old. Okay. So doubt in the heart, and start to work on giving permission for your clairaudience and your clairgnostic to work together in that right order. Okay. Amanda, did you want to?
I do. I would like to add something. One of the things that I always like to look at is the circuitry of the brain, right? And so with doubt, what I'm seeing is with the pineal and pituitary gland, there's a rift in communication. It's like you've got a communication channel between those two glands, but it's intermittent. It's like it's disconnecting and reconnecting and disconnecting and reconnecting. So as Christel was saying, you could go 23 hours out of the day saying, yes, I trust, and it's coming in, and then that rift happens and you've got that 1 hour where it's like, oh no, now I don't trust anymore. And that just, the energy drops off, right? So then you have to build that like when it reconnects, then you have to do it then or refunnel. So you've got this kind of disconnect going in there. But as you do the clearing that Christel was talking about, that will actually naturally restore that wiring for you as you tune up those glands.
Okay, I feel like I've been working on this wiring for 20 years. So I guess when you say clear it up, I'm still feeling like I don't really know what.
Who doesn't really know? See, we have to change the conversation, everyone. The persona does not know, but you as your higher self do. So there's a distinction here where you now, like I said, you have to take charge over your clairs and work with them. They're beings. It's not just a channel. Your clairaudience is a conscious being, right? Your clairgnostic is a conscious being. But if you've got a persona that literally has this story, I've been doing this for 20 years and I don't know still, and I that's the very thing that needs to be cleared. You've got to clear that aspect, because if you're speaking to me as your higher self, that wouldn't even come into the conversation. And your clairaudience and your clairgnostic wouldn't be at odds with each other and create these rifts, right? So let me just tell you that these personas fracture off from the divine out of a need to control, protect, or survive. Right? And what happens is they've got their own emotions and their own beliefs, and they start to run you, and they're like, oh no, don't believe that truth. Believe this. Believe that I don't know. Believe that I'm confused. Believe that, oh, if you go out in the world and live your purpose, you're going to get annihilated. Right? All of these reasons why you wouldn't allow yourself to work and play with those clairs as beings are coming out because of the personas, right? So again, in what I was sharing with you, take charge of your own energy and claim it. And if you're saying to me, I've been trying, what I'm saying is the reason why you haven't done it yet is you haven't gained control over those personas, right? But once you do that, and once you clear it, then you won't be at war within yourself anymore. You'll be aligned. You'll be congruent. You'll have 100% of the power. And when you live that way, there's no question, right? You literally are animated, almost puppeted by divine cosmic light, and still grounded and actualizing your gifts. Okay.
This is so beautiful. And for me, this is a very simplistic analogy, but think of a 9-year-old trying to learn division and thinking that it's never going to get division, no matter what's going to happen. I'll never get it. I'll never understand it. And that's approach that part of ourselves that says, we'll never get this. I've been working on it so long and it's never going to land. The adult you that's teaching that child already knows that they're going to get the division. But in the energy of the confusion and it not landing, it seems like it'll never come. And so be the adult with the 9-year-old who's learning that arithmetic and just know it's like, oh, I just need to approach it from this different way and it's going to land. And compassion and love and the support to show you what's available is what we're providing on today's call. What's provided in a special offer and illumination to remind you that you get to be in the adult, the higher self energetically in your wisdom, and you get to nurture that child that thinks that she's stuck in that problem. It's so beautiful. I love how this shows up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. And I just wanted to add to this piece too. I can understand, Catherine, where you might feel like, oh no, like I can't get it, because what happens is when that persona kicks in, right? When that part of you kicks in, you now get caught in the emotion. Your amygdala actually takes control of your brain and you're in the emotion. You're caught in that emotion of what's going on, and you can't actually access the reasoning mind, the prefrontal cortex in that moment. So it's like, what do? I don't know what to do. This isn't working, right? We go in that whole stream. And so that's where Christel's saying is she's got a very specific process of how do you take control over these parts? How do you identify them? And then you deliberately go about shifting them when you're in the adult, when you are the adult helping the 9-year-old. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
You can actually go about deliberately doing that work when you have access to your prefrontal cortex and that reasoning mind that can then be the witness observer. And so, then your biochemistry of your body is actually now working with you. So there's actually a chemical reaction that we can take into consideration with all this as well.
Well, just quickly, because I know you want to move on, but the irony of this is that I am a trauma-informed therapist and have been working with people for 28 years to do exactly what, John, you just invited me
what
to
we're
do.
talking about. Yeah.
And the whole amygdala, you're getting hijacked, right? You're in reactivity, your fight or flight response. I mean, you're speaking my language, and yet still, there's this place where I'm not aware of this part of myself or aspect of myself that's keeping me in this place of confusion or not knowing. So
you are aware now.
Yeah.
And so now you can do something about it, right? And we have to watch our languaging, because when we own that persona, right, we own that state of mind. Instead, again, we do want to be witness observer, which you probably know that helps so much to really allow that there is a wounded aspect of us, or an insecure aspect of us, or a distrustful aspect, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And also, again, Catherine, you know this, but for the sake of everybody on the call, if your brain isn't trained a certain way and is used to flowing in that way, it's very difficult to see anything in the periphery. And so even compassion for yourself with all of your training, but we don't know because something else is steering the ship in a way that it needs assistance to.
Yeah. Like I say to my clients, you are both the Titanic and the iceberg.
All right, Catherine, blessings to you. Thank you so
you
much for calling in. This is so good. I have a question that came in from Ida. I love this because I think so many have probably experienced this. Ida writes, I used to have extremely strong intuitions since I was a young child. I apparently shut it down about 30 years ago. How do I get it back? I've been trying, but not at all reliable.
Yes. One of the things that we have to look at is the cycle that you're going through, right? Was there an aspect of you that consciously shut it down for a reason? We have to look at that, because again, that crossover field, if there was any kind of trauma or, some situation that triggered you to say, oh, forget it, right? There's a gateway opened at that moment when there's too much input coming in. So if you were in a cycle where you were really open, but you didn't know how to open and close the gateway, if you will, it's vitally important for us, because some of us are mediums and we can't have our mediumship gateway open all the time. Otherwise, you're going to get scary monsters showing up, at bedtime, and you've got like beings, in front of your face showing you pictures, and all kinds of wild stuff happens, right? So one is, what is the cycle that you're in? You might have been in a very open cycle at that time. And so you were kind of hyper vigilant in your experience with your intuition. And now maybe you're not in that cycle per se, but we still have to look at the gateway, and we can see that through the celestial body and the crossover field to see how open that is and who's in charge of that gateway, right? We always can put one of our guides in charge of our gateway so that it's auto-regulating, right? So as a medium, I have had for years, I guess, 22 years now since my awakening happened, where I could see everything. I started talking to my grandfather that had just passed over. I saw a woman's husband when I was in a sweat lodge, and a woman's husband who had passed away 3 months before came in and started talking to me. And I thought I was losing my mind, but I realized, oh my goodness, my grandfather and this man, they had just crossed over. I'm a medium, and I couldn't deny it at that point. So I had to come up with, because I was never formally trained. Nobody told me. I had to put on kind of like that scientific hat of what is intuition and how do I use it and how do I protect my energy in a way that's just conscious and aware. And so that's what you want to do, is you can put one of your guides at your gateway and invite it. For those of you that actually know that you're very open, but you have no control of who visits you, right? Or how much information comes in at once. Instead of backing away, closing down, invite that guide to be there so that any communication comes to the guide first, right? Like a security guard. And then the guide communicates to you. Somebody's here at the door. And then you get to decide, do you want to speak with them or not? But you never let them in. We don't invite the being into our aura. We don't invite it into our celestial body in our aura. That is our space. And so, but we can talk through the door, can't we? Right? We can speak through the door. So that's what I've found. And hopefully that really helps you.
Wonderful. Amanda, do you have something to share?
Well, as Christel was sharing about the open gate, one of the things that I was seeing is the digestive tract, especially being overrun. It's like all this kind of mucusy energy, and the consciousness of that energy is like this subtle, real subtle energy of doubt and questioning and uncertainty and not knowing. And so we know the gut to be a nerve-rich center of the body, right? We've got these neural plexuses that are these bundles of nerves that many of them align right with our chakras. And so when I see that energy in there, it's creating this doubt and this confusion that's not allowing the higher energy of higher mind. So even if the mind's opening up, the heart's opening up, it's not allowing that energy to actually filter in and be grounded in the body, right? And so when our intuition is coming in and it's up here, we get the good ideas. We might even start to take action, but if we're not able to really ground it in, we have no consistency and sustainability with utilizing that higher knowledge. And so we've got to have you working with releasing that pattern of doubt. And where I see that originating for you, it goes back 10 past lives ago, and it looks like mom nagging. I keep seeing this energy of mom, like over, like in the back of the mind, like nagging, picking at everything that you've done. So we want to have you shift that energy and shift that doubt and all that uncertainty, and recognize that it's more of a projection that you are hearing and that you have in the mind. It's not actually yours. It's not actually your doubt, your uncertainty. It's plugged in. So you'll want to unplug that and really actively work with then releasing the emotions around that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda. It's so wise. So we're going to take more live callers and more questions coming in. But I also want to point, Christel and Amanda are really highlighting what's available and providing awarenesses that provides a doorway through. But also part of the reason they're on is because they're also providing an in-depth experience so that the solutions become available through their supports. And I think this is such an incredible offer, and Christel and Amanda's agreement to provide it at a price point to make it more accessible to more people was something that really touched me, and I'm so grateful for, because I know how powerful this work is. So I want to take a few minutes now, and again, we'll get into more callers here in a little bit, and really have you understand what is available to you through the support system that can help you break through what may seem something that we're not sure how quite to break through on. The support is there. So April, if you would, we type the link into the chat box for the special offer, and y'all can access the special offer. If you choose to, you can open up a new browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christel, CHRISTEL. So again, beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christel27. And it'll take you to the same special offer page. And Christel, Amanda, whoever wants to lead, please share what the people that do participate and go deeper, what the benefits that they're going to receive are.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. When I was feeling into this shift that we've been going through, and that's when I approached you with this, is that there was a big draw from my heart to be overly compassionate and to create a space where we're all safe and we're all together. So much of what we've been talking about, especially with the fears that come up and the doubts that come up, have been related to our environment. Obviously, some traumas that we've had, whether past lives or whether, the situation in which we're in now, and we find society and not feeling safe. as well as the planetary experiences that we've been going through, and how the veil is thinner than ever. And so it's really important for us to gather together and to move through these difficult blockages that literally are not allowing us to know our true self and act and live as our true self. When we come into that place of living fully and completely, what happens is our container, our body starts to open and the energy starts to come in, and now we can accurately translate that. So on my side, I'm really supporting in the deeper layers of the energetic system and bringing in. And I think what we have to offer here is something that is so unique, but we're doing it together as a collective, which really amplifies the energies. And what we're doing is a retreat, Igniting Your Intuitive Power Retreat, which is 3 hours together. And we've never done this before. Like I said, this is something that is so dear to our hearts, because that's the intimacy where we can be vulnerable in a safe container, but we're moving through things to have at the end this full and complete experience of oneness within our own body, to be unified in our own body. So this is something that Amanda and I are going to be doing, but also we're calling in other intuitive experts. So we have Sophie Bedard, who is actually from our Academy for the Soul. Some of you know that I have an online academy where we literally take someone from not knowing, I think I'm intuitive, all the way to finding and discovering their special gift assignment is what we call it, their spiritual gifts. And then beyond that, really bringing them out into the world to live their purpose and share those gifts. And Sophie Bedard is one that is an expert in all things emotions. So we're bringing her on, and we also have a couple of others that are going to be coming in. So at this point, I'd love, Amanda, if you'd like to share, because you're going to be in the beginning of that retreat, share what you're bringing and what you're going to be doing. And then I can share at the end what, I'll be offering as well.
Absolutely. So, we've touched on the nervous system. We know in our body, our nervous system directs everything, right? It's our director. It's telling our body what to do. It's responding to our environment. It's giving us guidance. And what happens, when we are not fully in congruence with our intuition, we might have those default fear patterns. We were talking about the personas and the aspects that can take you into that default pattern of fear, or that reaction in a moment when you're triggered by something that created a trauma in the past, or was similar to something that triggered a trauma in the past. And so you start to create these default wires, these default patterns. And my background in training is also in engineering. So I studied electrical engineering. So when I'm looking at the circuitry of the nervous system, I'm looking at it as an actual circuit, right? And I'm looking at, what does your template look like? What does your nervous system template look like right now? And does that match your ideal template? So we can call in, and this is what we're going to do in the retreat. We're going to call in your ideal template of nervous system flow. And we're going to map that. So now you're starting to basically just unplug. If you've ever looked at a circuit board, there's different components. There's resistors, there's wires, you just unplug them. And you put in the new wiring. And that's what we're essentially going to be doing at an energetic level for the body. We're going to be taking out the components that don't match your ideal flow, and we're going to be replacing them with that ideal template of flow, right? So we're going to go through some specific processes to do that. And we're going to completely reset your nervous system and rewire, and then start to bring in all the good stuff, right? All the good stuff that you want to experience, that you want to feel, that you want to flow. And this is really important, because a lot of times what happens is we say, I want to activate my intuition. I want to open up to it. And you open up to it, the light starts to come in and your body goes, oh my gosh, no, attack, assault, right? It's too big. It feels like it's not comfortable. And so we've got to get your nervous system ready so that when Christel comes in with all the brilliant holographic healing and Archangel Metatron and all the beautiful things she's going to talk about, your body is really ready to receive that, to ground it in at the deep level. Before we even come into the retreat, I'm going to have some pre-work for you to do, right? Where you're actually going in and looking at the condition of your nervous system. What do the structures look like? What does the flow look like? What patterns of confusion do you have running? What interferences are in place? What patterns of overwhelm do you have in place? And you're going to be working to resolve those before you even come in so that we can actually adjust that deeper wiring and that whole template for your nervous system in the retreat. So that's what we're going to be doing for your nervous system to get you ready for really opening up and having that consistent connection with your intuitive power.
Yay, thank you. Love it. Yes. So also before you come in, on my side, in working with Metatron and Metatron's Cube, we're literally going to specifically go in and work on clearing the channels. We're clearing all of the 4 clairs, and we're using Metatron's Cube to do that. And then what we're doing is we're literally focusing in on, remember we talked about the personas, and what we found is that there's usually not just one persona. There's usually 2 personas that are at odds with the other, right? One's at odds with the other. And we call that a double bind experience where, oh, a part of me, you know, I really want to open my intuition. And the other part of me is like, but Christel, I'm scared what I'm going to be asked of, right? If I open up, or I really want to see, I want to be clairvoyant. Oh, but what am I going to see? You know, I want to make sure that I'm going to see something that's sweet and nice and pretty, not something scary. We have all these fears that are from our lineage, not just our past life lineage, not just our galactic lineage, but also from our ancestral lineage. So what we're doing is we've got our 2-hour deep dive. If any of you have taken those workshops with me before, we're going to gather together online, it's going to be audio, right? So you tune in, audio or web, online, and I will literally bring you through that path of clearing all of the clairs and then clearing and releasing the double binds. So for those of you that we've read today and we've said, hey, there's a persona, right? There's something there that is living outside of you and what your intentions are. And we're going to clear those double binds. And then we're going to work on clearing the celestial body, which is full of tears and hyperextensions and bulges and distortions. It's the 6th auric field that you have. And again, that is where you bring the information down and translate it. And we're also going to start to activate those deep levels. We want to align your celestial body, right, with your clairs, open the channels and support that communication with your clairs, right? So this is all about opening the cosmic channels and being the channel of light and truth. Now, when we are then in the retreat, then what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be doing a reading for you. Now, I can't tell you because it depends on how many people we have. And Amanda and I chatted about this before. Sometimes it might be better time-wise, just so we have more time together at the retreat, that I read you, but I'm reading you for those 3 things. I want you to know what that blockage is that you have in your celestial body, and what's going on with your crossover field, and also which clair is really needing that support and wanting to be included, not the one that's excluded or denied communication, right? Because that's our tendency. Sometimes we ignore them, we ignore our clairs, or we think we're not, but we actually really aren't paying attention. So I'm going to do 3 readings for each person that comes in. So you'll get 3 readings on those parts, right? And you can bring them to that retreat. And on that retreat, we're literally calling forth this full and complete alignment. And you can read on there on that page, there's so much that I'm going to be doing. But as you look and you read on there, what we can start to see is sometimes those clairs are in competition. And what we're going to do is we're going to unify them, right? We're going to bring the primary clair up and we're going to say, okay, you know, this is the one that allows you to be highly accurate and for you to know deep within your body, okay, what's my directive? How do I need to proceed here? Right? In the crossover field, what we're doing is these are like crisscrossing energies that support your systems in actually becoming that container to channel the light. Okay, we don't just want the light kind of haphazardly flowing. You, as a unique being, have a very specific way that you flow energy. That's one of the biggest flaws that I've seen and prevents people from not being able to be accurate, is because they don't know the order of their clairs. And so when they don't know the order of their clairs, they are out of order, literally. And so the container stops working in the way that it's meant to work. And so the light just starts flowing. However, your lower mind starts to train it to flow, right? Think about the neurological pathways constantly going to an unhealthy habit or some kind of addiction. It's the same way. You've been intuitively channeling maybe in an unhealthy way because you're addicted to that. And maybe it happened because you always had to rely on your gut feeling, even though you're actually primarily clairvoyant. You relied on the wrong clair because you had to. Right? You overworked one of the clairs. So we've got to undo this. And we've got to really get you to that place where you are accurate in the transmission and the translation of that. Okay. So we're resetting the equilibrium, left brain, right brain, connective tissues, all working, right? So that you can actually be absolutely clear in the way that that comes through. And then again, working on opening the celestial body, making sure, right, that celestial body's aligned. So it's not it literally functioning on its own, right, with the fears and shutting down when the rest of your body and being want to come online and really be used. Okay, so those are the things that I'm going to take you through with Metatron's Cube. And I want you just to imagine, the whole idea is really imagining yourself. If you could just feel so good about yourself, literally knowing that your structures are set, right? That you had 100% faith that now the divine is coming through and you can be guided. This is really where we want you. We need you to have that confidence, have control over these personas, and know that you're aligned in the way you need to be aligned to ignite the heart, to ignite the passion, so that you're not, it's kind of almost like pulling back your energy or restraining yourself from being out to being in the limelight or spotlight. And this doesn't mean that everyone needs to be an energetic healer and do that for a living, but some of you are meant to be out there. You're meant to play in bigger ways. And we see that, you know, it's sad for us to observe how brilliant you are, but then these personas and these obstacles in the nervous system not functioning in the way that really allows you to reflect on the truth of who you are. You have to trust your offering, and that's what we're here to support you with. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing.
So the offer, it includes a couple of bonuses also in the 3-hour class. And first of all, when's it scheduled for the retreats? What's the date on
Amanda,
it?
do you remember that?
April 30th, 11:30. Let me just double check.
So,
yeah, Pacific time.
As Amanda's looking at that,
April 30th, Saturday, April 30th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
Perfect. So that's scheduled then. And before then, as you sign up, there's also a couple of bonuses that are included in here. And Amanda or Christel, if you guys each will tell us about the bonuses that are available, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, well, we shared about that because Amanda, right, you're going to be doing a video series and I'm going to be doing the 2-hour workshop. Did you share, Amanda, about the video
I
series?
did. That's where we're going to, that's the pre-work I was talking about. So I
Okay.
didn't clarify
Okay.
that that's the video series, but that's the pre-work that we're going to have you do before you come to the retreat. And so that's going to help get your nervous system ready. And I would love to just share for a minute, if I can, about this, the order of the clairs. Like I have a very personal experience of why this is so significant. Like if that's the only thing you can get.
Will you list the clairs also? Because a couple of people are asking, please define the clairs. So if you can list them and then tell us about the orders, that'd be great.
So, well, I'm going to share my personal experience and I'll let Christel explain the clairs.
Okay.
So, I did an intuitive assessment, Christel read, okay, what is the order of your clairs? And I was like, she said clairvoyant. And I was like, I'm not clairvoyant at all. Like clairsentient was very high, and I was like, yeah, I get that. I feel a lot, but it's funny because it's almost the exact example she was just sharing where you trust your gut instinct, but you're not using your clairvoyance. And so what had happened was I had at one point trained in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. I was trained to do the work, but I did like a couple sessions with people. And after each session, it took me days to recover. Like I took on all of their stuff, didn't know how to protect myself. And so when Christel read this for me, and then I did the steps that I needed to do to really open up my clairvoyance, what happened was now I could see the energy. I didn't have to take it in and feel it in my body to get the insight. So now I could actually read and see the energy. And because I was naturally wired that way, it actually, Christel, you had mentioned earlier that reinforcement, the clairsentience, reinforcing the clairvoyance. Now my clairs started working in a whole new way. And I was just coming up with insights about people that blew my mind. It's like, whoa, I can see that. I can read that. And there was actually a physical shift in my body that happened as well. So Christel talks about the crossover field and how that can create tension, right? Well, it actually created tension in my fascia, in my body. And my spine started to misalign to the degree that I had a little hump on the right side of my back. And once I got my clairs in order, then I was able, I was doing chiropractic adjustments, but once those clairs were in order, that actually allowed that to be resolved. So it actually physically affected my body. So that's why I just wanted to share why this is so important, that you're actually using your clairs in order, because it can affect you if you're not, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
Christel, do you want to share about the clairs now?
Yeah. So we have our claircognizant, or I like to call it clairgnostic for knowing, and that's at the crown. And that's a field of energy, right? And most people think it's just the crown chakra, but it's actually a field of energy. And that field of energy is the way that you are able to connect. Now, this is the connection with the divine. And this is one of the things that most people don't understand, is that there's not just one right way. You might be a person that is supposed to be drawing energy and information to you and just primarily receiving it rather than reaching out to get it. Some of you are more, if you can imagine, as an intuitive introvert versus an intuitive extrovert, right? And so, but some of you are to reach up and expand. You're still magnetizing and drawing to you. So that's the clairgnostic. Then you've got the clairvoyance, and the clairvoyance comes in as the higher self anchors into your space in your head, if you will. There's like an egg-shaped space where your higher self literally comes down and anchors in, and then is able to flow down through the body. If you've got blockages, that higher self won't come all the way down in the body. So I can read how far down is that higher self consciousness in your body. And the clairvoyance working in that field with higher self is actually flowing energy front to back. And this is what allows you to actually come into a field of projection. And based on your values, based upon how aligned you are with the celestial body, you're going to get accurate information and observe the projections rather than playing a role and being a part in those projections, right? Now, then we have the clairaudience channel, and the clairaudience is not just your throat, but you have 2 ear chakras as well. And these communicate and they create this point, this triangle, if you will, that has a downward point, right? And so basically what's happening is you're drawing the energy down, drawing creative energy down, and bringing that energy through. And some of the blockages there that we know are the communication between the ears and the channel that goes to the throat. So if, we see the fears, and you can look up, obviously those blockages that are common with the throat chakra. But what I've seen is more that some of you are supposed to draw the information in your right ear first rather than your left ear. And you're doing it on the opposite side because you've heard somebody else say something differently, right? It's important that, when we look at you, I'm not telling you do it this way because this is how Christel Hughes does it. This is about how do you do it and what is your best way to be transmitting energy as well as translating energy, right? Maybe you're a messenger, and so you have to bring that information in your way and communicate it. So we have to look and see, how is your clairaudience functioning? And then we have the clairsentient, which is the power center, the 3rd chakra area. But again, it's very closely linked to the Hara point and to the illumination center. We've got 3 soul centers: higher mind, higher heart, and the Hara area, which really is an ancient reservoir that allows you to draw like divine, creative, ancient wisdom, power, cosmic energy. This is the reservoir. Many times when people misuse the clairsentience, it's out of some need to run away from something. For me, I overworked my clairsentience because I had an alcoholic father. And based on how he shut the door, I knew whether I needed to close up or not. And I felt that, and my power center would close up, which then would unplug me. It would unplug my other clairs, right? So everything would shut down. And for me, I'm what's called a multisensory intuitive, which means that not only am I like John as an extrasensory, like all my clairs fire off almost simultaneously. They fire off, but I'm in a holographic reality, almost in a dance with the creative energy revealing itself and allowing me to view from different perspectives simultaneously. So I'm seeing all of your past lives at once, all of your future lives at once, and I'm seeing all of the parallel lives that you have, the galactic lives and the connections that you have with your guides, all playing out, if you will, on a holodeck. So some of you are multisensory intuitive as well as multidimensional, where we need to really nurture you, and almost we have you schooled in a different way. So we bring you through into this experience, and we start to share who you are as an intuitive. And I like to think of you as an intuitive artist, right? You're an artist. This, and the way that you do art in your natural way, uninhibited, is so different than if you were judging how you were going to paint, right? What you were going to paint. You just allow yourself to be free once you get the structure set. And so this is where Amanda and I realized we've got to set these structures first. People are going out there and doing things and channeling, not knowing what they're doing, and it can be a little dangerous. Whereas we definitely want to support you in getting these structures set and doing it your way, right? Setting you up to be able to come online in your way, in a healthy way.
Yeah, this is so wonderful. Again, y'all, the special offer for this price, it's fantastic. It's valued really with everything coming on. With all the experts. I mean, having a medical intuitive, as Christel's bringing this also, so that you know what your body is shifting and opening to, is just, this is spectacular. Again, this is a value of over $3,000. It's offered at $297. There's a 2-payment option on it. And I'm super excited about the deep dive, the 3-hour live virtual retreat, but also the preparation to get you into that place of where that potential can be actualized very quickly. So it's wonderful. You'll get the bonuses before, you'll get the links for the retreats.
And the
Christel,
intuitive
you'll get that
reading.
free.
We're
And
each going to be doing intuitive readings, right?
And
So
intuitive
you'll
readings,
know
right.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
This is fantastic. Y'all, the links in the chat box, April, if you'll type it in there again, or again, you can get to the special offer by typing into your browser, beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christel27. And everybody's getting an intuitive reading. Is that correct, Christel?
You'll get 3 just from me. So I'm going to read those 3 areas, right?
Amazing.
So that's why I said we might do it where I'm doing those readings prior to that call prior to the retreat instead of on the retreat,
That makes
just
sense.
so that we're really efficient with what we're doing. So we'll work that out.
Oh, excellent. All right. Y'all take advantage of it. And Christel, Amanda, I want to take some more callers. I want to dive a little bit more into what's going to be received. And Layla, you're coming up for me so strongly right now. If I can get you to unmute, please.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank
Hi.
you. So I would like to know my order of clairs and what the major block would be for me receiving the
Yes,
information.
immediately it came through clairvoyant. I mean, literally before you even started talking. You actually are a clairvoyant with a little bit of a veil in front of it. And this is one of the blockages. So when you're viewing, one of the things that we see about you is that you're a seer. But you're a seer in a way that it's almost as if you have these premonitions. When someone's sharing something with you, you can quote, see whether they're on the right path or not, right? So you get that hit, whether someone's going down the right path or going down the wrong path. Now, what happens is your archetypal energy comes in as the guide for them. And so you literally shift into this experience as this wise one, as the wise woman for them. Okay. And so it's still using your clairvoyance, but once you quote, see whether that's right or wrong path for them, now the archetype of the guide comes, and now you're using more of the clairsentient. So you're feeling into that experience for them. And with that, the validators for you are the clairgnostic and the clairaudience. So you'll start to talk to yourself about what you saw that wasn't right for them. And then you'll start to talk to yourself about what that feeling really means. Okay. Now, the blockage is the veil. And when we look at that, we're looking at the crossover field that is a little bit twisted, and it's looking almost like kind of like a candy cane energy that's twisted that I'm seeing. And that energy is going to a genealogical line. So there's something in there that's saying it's not good to share what you see. Right? Be cautious about this. Be cautious about moving forward in communicating this, right? So it's okay for you to see, but don't talk about what you see, and don't expose yourself, right? So that genealogical line is on father's side, 11 generations back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Amanda.
Yeah, with that, I was getting very strongly that sense of having to shut it down and hide it. And I'm actually seeing a shield right in front of your power center. It's plugging in. There's a plug in your front power center, and there's a shield protruding from that. So it's like Christel said, you could potentially see, but then you wouldn't be sharing anything out or projecting anything out or calling attention to self. There's like this real intense fear of, I don't want to call attention to myself. I don't want people to see. I want to hide in the background. And I can tell you that's one of the ones I had. I know I was witnessed and by Christel and some others. And I was witnessed as, I was like, let me fade into the background. Don't let me be seen. So I totally get that. It's a defense, a protection, right? And so you want to work with shifting that out as well. That I see a past life connection to that plug going back 13 past lives ago, plugging in and really locking that down. And so I've seen this, Christel mentioned the genealogical timeline. A lot of times I see that where you'll have a pattern from a past life that's in the body. You come into a family that also has that pattern because you're meant to clear that in this lifetime. So we want to have you release that plug out and activate the Hara Center. You know, Christel did mention the Hara Center. We want to reactivate that because it's very small, not a lot of energy moving through there. So we want to have you reactivate that so you can feel strong and centered and use discernment on what you want to share with whom, right? So it's not that you go out sharing everything with everybody, but you can actually have access to your divine discernment through your power center as to what to share, when to share. And that will be a natural flow. It's not like you're sitting there having to work it out in your mind. You'll naturally, organically feel that.
Okay. And do you work in this retreat with expanding the Hara line or the Hara area?
We will do what's needed. So if that's coming up as something that's really needed in the retreat, we'll work with that. But one of the things I can tell you about working with the nervous system is as we're going through these nerve-rich centers, these things will naturally come online when the space is created for them to do so.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have to deliberately go in and say, okay, we're going to activate the Hara Center, but we can monitor that. So that's something you might want to bring in and go, okay, you know, this is what you read for me. How's my Hara Center looking now? Right. So you can get that feedback and guidance.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for calling in.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's continue here. Renee, let's get you to unmute, please. Welcome. We still can't hear you. You're still muted.
Okay, now?
Yeah,
Okay,
we can hear you now. Welcome. Yeah.
thanks. Hi, everyone. Same question as the previous caller. The order of my clairs and blocks.
Yeah, you're clairsentient, you're a true empath. So when the clairsentience is the first clair, the primary clair, predominant clair, that means you're a true empath, right? So you're running everything through that clairsentience. And then what you're doing is you're asking, what do I know? So clairsentience, clairgnostic, clairaudience, and clairvoyance are pretty much married together, right? So you're always going to get an initial sense or feeling, and then you'll start to talk to yourself about, what does that mean? What's that actually mean? Like, what's the translation of that? And what does that mean? And that's a good question to ask so that you're getting that specific, right? The question draws the intuition through your container to give you a specific answer. We don't want to be general, like, show me a sign today, you know, like we really want to be specific. And then your clairaudience is going to validate with clairvoyance. So with your clairvoyance, it's always going to be memories of some experience you've had in the past, right? So it might be a scene of a movie where, oh, a situation happens and then this scene of this movie pops up in your head and you're like, well, what does that have to do with this? And maybe that scene of the movie was like someone being disrespected. And so that's literally for you like a puzzle piece, right? And it's like, oh, this would be a similar type of situation. Okay. And then you get to make the choice either for yourself, or if you were seeing that for a client, you would need to tell them there's a chance that there's going to be some kind of disrespect that comes up in this relationship or in this situation, right? Yeah. Now the blockage for you is in the back. I'm seeing in the back power center, and I do see it more in the emotional and mental body. And what's happening is it's almost like your left brain and right brain are fighting, right? It's like, who's going to win, your emotions or your mind? Okay. And these two are a little bit at odds with each other. So we're going to have to work on the aura for that. And then the crossover field is in the front, right? It's in the front. And what we're seeing is almost like put your game face on, right? So there's some persona that's like, put the game face on, right? And let's see when that one was created. So that's before birth. All right. And it's only 2 past lives ago where you learn to like be stoic almost, but it's like the game face of who do you have to be and who do they expect you to be and how do you project yourself, right? And how do you have to show up for others instead of who you are, right? And having the freedom to do that. Okay. Yeah.
How's this landing for you?
Interesting.
It's a lot. Yeah, we're going to have the replays. Come back and listen to the replays of what's coming through. And for all of y'all who are identifying with similar energy, it's so powerful to be in that vortex of what's being illuminated as well. Amanda, I know you're reading something also, so I'd love
I
to.
am.
Yeah.
Well, it was really interesting because, Christel, as you were mentioning the back power center in the emotional and mental bodies, what I was seeing right in the back center, when you were initially doing the reading, was this line, almost like a hardened, rigid line, almost like a post running it down actually to the tailbone. And it's like this controller. And Renee, what I'm seeing, it's almost like you're on wobbly ground. It's like that controller is trying to keep you balanced and you're toggling back and forth. And, when Christel started saying, putting that game face on, that's what it is. It's like you're trying to toggle between who do I need to be and who do I want to be? And you're really off balance with that. And it's not actually allowing you to harmonize in your body system. I really see it taxing the liver, really putting a lot of strain on the liver and the kidneys. Because it's like, I don't know what to excrete, what to filter, there's a lot of uncertainty around that. So those two were really standing out for me. So as you start to shift these energies, again, that's naturally, organically going to help reorganize and recalibrate your liver and kidneys. But then you also, one of the beautiful things you can do for the body is as you're doing these clearings and these organs, glands, tissues, wherever they're being identified, you can imagine them being enclosed and encapsulated in white light. And that pure crystalline white light energy will help to dissolve what needs to be dissolved as you're releasing these bigger structures. And it'll also help really open you up to, ooh, what do I want to bring in now? What's that high vibrational match? It kind of cleans the slate so that you can bring that energy in. So you're going to want to imagine that, Renee, as you're doing that, just imagine them being encased in that beautiful, pure, high vibrational white crystalline light energy. And then that way, as you're doing the deeper release of the emotional patterns and structures, that's going to actually allow them to naturally calibrate and readjust. And then you can always look at the condition and see if there's something more that your liver or kidneys need or are asking for. But that's going to give you a strong foundation to get clear responses.
Excellent. All right, there you go. So let's continue on. And thank you so much for calling in. It's Amanda, Christel. Again, we talked about the program. How would the program help each of the people that we've just called on the call? So like, what do you feel the support and I'll call the graduation after the retreats?
What we find is kind of what Amanda had shared. Once we get everything in order, and literally we're just speaking to these beings, right? We're speaking to the beings of the clairs, and we're inviting them to get in order. But before that, we're saying, look, this is our intention. Any of those double binds, any of the parts of you, any thought in your head that is going against what your intention is to be that divine, clear, deeply connected channel, that persona that's in the way of that, talking you out of it and bringing up illusion, like literally just bringing up false illusions and making you think, that you're not that, or, in fact, who do you think you are, right? That's a big one. We're literally going to take those two aspects, those double bind personas, and we're going to clear them with love. We're going to transform them and bring them together so that they're unified and bring that back in, right? So everyone that we've spoken to, we've really picked up the combination of issues. Most of the time I'm just reading one thing, but we found the combination of issues. If we can get from what Amanda's reading cleared and from what I'm reading cleared, adjusted, and aligned, this is a magical combination for now you to be feeling confident about, whoa, my structure is what it needs to be for that to come down, right? And so most of the time, people don't know that. They're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm accurate. I feel connected, but I don't trust my intuition all the way. Or I trust it in certain times, but not in others, right? And our goal is for you to be the embodiment of higher self, to have power over your personas, right? Not buy into those voices. And for you to actually start to claim whether you're a transmitter or a receiver or both, right? That you can now function from that really deeply rooted, connected in place.
That's so wonderful. Y'all, the link for the special offers in the chat box again. Again, you'll get the bonuses in advance to the live retreat date. You get your personal readings, intuitive readings coming in, and all that's going to be coordinated through Amanda and Christel, and the other healers are going to show up as well. And this is phenomenal. Again, take advantage of it. It's only $297. It's over $3,000 value. And it's just, I'm excited about what's coming through. And again, I'm excited to get my readings also. So this is fantastic. Again, the link's in the chat box. Take advantage of it. Oh, some of y'all saying you don't know how to ask questions that you knew. You can type your question specifically in the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand, there's a little icon at the bottom of the screen. It says raise hand. Just click on that and it'll show you exactly. I'll see it on my end that you raised your hand and I'll be able to call on you. I know Karen S., you had a question about that. But I bet you can pick up on Karen's energy anyway, Christel and Amanda. So Karen S.,
Oh, yeah.
does she like a reading?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're used to this. We're used to
Yeah.
doing it without seeing anybody, you know? It's
Right.
like we're literally functioning at, you know, higher levels where there's no walls, there's no space, right? So Karen, what we're doing is we're looking in to see that number one block, that intuitive block. And for you, it's in the back of the third eye. And there really is a hesitation. What I'm feeling is that energy is one of insecurity. So there's an aspect within you that is insecure with your intuition. So even though it's okay for you to read for yourself, right, or to get a message for yourself, your purpose is really to extend that to either one-on-one or one to groups, one to many. And so your hesitation there with bringing it out to the masses, that's what we have to look at, okay? So I'm seeing in your celestial body, what we see is a little bit of an energy where it's almost like crinkled paper, right? And the messages aren't flowing easily because it's crinkled. It kind of has to go over these ridges and then it goes into these little dips and dives, right? So we want to smooth that out, work with the celestial body. Don't worry, Metatron's Cube will do that in the retreat. We'll clear that out, smooth that out. And then the crossover field we're seeing is actually in the back of the left side, upper left quadrant that we're seeing. And what's happening is this fear of you working with one-to-one and one-to-many, we're starting to see as more of this past life experience of hurt or harm that has come to you, right? So again, when I spoke earlier about like fear of death, it's aligned with your fear of success. So this is a sabotaging persona, fear of death, using your intuition and sharing it, and fear of success in this lifetime, because it's literally blocking you from being successful. It's saying if you're successful using your intuition, then something bad's going to happen to you. Okay, so we're looking at that, and that past life. Let's see how many past. That's 36 past lives ago. So that's an old one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I was seeing, Christel, I was appreciating the block that you saw in the back third eye, because what I saw was coming from that in the brainstem. There's a little structure that looks like a joystick. And from that joystick, there are wires that are running down the spine to different parts of the body, you know, like as if the joystick is controlling and animating the body. So it's these pre-programmed, it's like you've got this whole kind of flow chart of conditions. If this and this and this happens, okay, I'm gonna do this with the joystick and then my body's gonna move in this way. So it's this whole mechanism of control that is for protection. You know, it's in place, meant to protect you from harm's way, you know, similar to what Christel was sharing as that fear. One of the things that came in associated with this is this idea that I have to be at a certain place, or I have to be at a certain mindset in order for me to use my gifts. Like there's some place I have to be, right? And we all know that if you're embarking on anything, and I'm going to go back to John's analogy to the math, right? You got to screw up pretty bad a number of times before you finally get it right, most of the time when you're starting something new. And you get feedback and you go, okay, that didn't work. Let me try something else. And hopefully you have a teacher. And that's the blessing. You know, Christel has this down to a science of how do you organize yourself for your intuition. So you've got the benefit of that. But the other thing she mentioned, Sophie Bidar, who's one of our experts who's going to come in, she's really good at looking at what are the emotions that are taking over and hijacking the amygdala, like we were talking about. So now you've got that aspect in there that can allow you to go, okay, what's that big emotion that's holding that joystick in place? And when that shifted and released and cleared out, and you'll feel Sophie's presence. I mean, when she does her clearing, it is potent and it's so loving. And so she holds you in such a sacred space. And so when she does that, what I can see is that structure safely extracting, right? When we have these energetic structures, they have to be extracted safely. We don't just want to be yanking things out without knowing what we're doing, because we can actually cause harm. And so, with the combination of what we're going to be doing for the pre-work, for the nervous system, and then also, I keep seeing Sophie, like she's just coming in really big. I see her holding that space to help create that container where you can relax your body. Christel mentioned this early, really relax, feel safe in the space, and allow these things to release and decide, what do I want in place of that?
Thank you.
Beautiful. Ooh, so much running through. When you said all those lifetimes, Christel, I felt it going, the ripples going all the way. It's so powerful. It's just, amazing. Let's take another chat question, another chat request. So this is so amazing that both Amanda and Christel can tune in this way. And again, I kind of always show them off a little bit by doing this as well. We can. But Carol writes in, Carol Klein, actually, hold on, Carol, I apologize. I was actually reading, the readings are wonderful. How much individual time will we receive in the retreat? So that's what she's asked. So let me go ahead and ask this, and then I want to ask Patricia's question as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a group, right? So the individual time is when we are doing your intuitive readings with you. This is a group scenario. So really what we're doing is we're taking you through group experiences, and we're going to have little breakout sessions where we're going to have Academy Master Teachers. So Amanda is one of our Academy Master Teachers. Sophie Bidard is one of our AMTs. Melanie Crandall, who is the counselor and a brilliant intuitive alchemist, she's going to be there. So we're going to be doing processes in little breakout sessions as well, where they can help adjust. And it's going to be called forth from that need. So it's not like we are having one-on-one. I just want to make sure everybody knows this isn't one-on-one time with either me or Amanda. It's all of us together. We'll do processes together. We might have you share in those individual breakout sessions with an Academy Master Teacher there to help serve you and to make sense of some of this stuff, right? If you're just in your own mind, in your own head, and intuition is so subtle, you really benefit by having someone validate and confirm. And sometimes we're ashamed of that. Like, what do you mean? I should know that I'm doing it right. No, you shouldn't, unless someone confirms and validates it for you. And oftentimes that comes from getting the structure set and then practicing, right? And so if we can observe you and look deeply within you and give you that feedback that, wow, this is how it's looking, or, ooh, we still need to work on that, 50% hasn't been shifted, so let's do a little bit more in that area. See, we're giving you immediate feedback there, so you're understanding what else you need to do in order to fully actualize that, right? And then again, I will be at the end doing the full Metatronics, Metatron's Cube. I almost said Metatronic Reiki, but the Metatrons Cube healing with those 3 levels and really amplifying and activating, igniting the heart power, which holds you in grace. It's why you've got 100% faith that starts. You have to trust. And I have to train you a little bit as we go through and we do the double bind clearing. You come into a greater level of wholeness and you start to trust, I can be my higher self because I can identify when I'm not. And I can ask the question, is this voice my higher self voice? And it will have to tell me if it's not. And that's how we know if it's a persona or if it's our intuition. And so in that way, you're trained now to observe, recognize, and kind of understand the dynamics here. And in that way, you're clearing those and coming back online and being able to really observe and recognize self-trust, self-love. It's, you can't trust yourself unless you really trust that you have power over these personas, right? And you can't expect the divine to send all its brilliant, beautiful light of truth through your being if it's just only going to be fractured off and used by the personas, right? So that's why we focus in, and we're very strategic. Believe me, I'm very strategic with how I bring you down this journey, so that Amanda's going to be working with you in those video series. I'll be helping you clear what needs to be cleared even before you get to the retreat, right? So by the time you're there, we're both in that flow and in that dance, guiding you through it. So don't worry so much about having individual time with us. You gain more benefit by the collective because you're going to hear us communicating with others, which all the parts of you, all the personas that are in there are going to get shifted and readjusted, because whatever we say to one, we're saying to all of you, right? And so that's the benefit of being in the group, the exponential shifting and healing that's going to occur because you're in the same container and you're in the same field. If one person shifts this persona that's the saboteur, guess what? The saboteur within you gets shifted, right?
It's so good. And well, first of all, the link for the special offer, it's in the chat box again at the bottom, so you can click through on that. And it seems like you answered Patricia's questioning here, so this is interesting. So Larry's writing, do you have to have a strong feeling that you are on the verge of being intuitive with a clair, or can you just join the retreat as a discovery venture?
It's actually, it's really good. Like with me, when I first had my shift, I went to a healer because I had a fear of public speaking. And I was asked by the director of the Behavioral Science Center to start to be a professor. And I was like, heck no, like, you've got the wrong person. Like, I love people, but I don't want to be on stage. So I sought out this hypnotherapist who was a clairvoyant. And I used to spend 8 years, John, 8 years with her, right? But what frustrated me is every time I went to her once a month, 4 hours of healing, she always told me, you have this ability. You're a healer. You're going to be on screens all across the globe. It freaked me out. I didn't know what she was talking about. So it's almost better because she never told me how to intuit. She always said, discover, discover, discover. And I wish she would have at least shared a little bit about the energetic side of that, which is what I have to share with everybody. We've got to get your container and your structure down so the light can flow through you. The structure is the masculine. The light flowing through is the feminine. Everybody wants the feminine light and flow, but they don't want to address the structure, right? And we have to. And we need to get that nervous system right. So if you're coming in new, now we can get you at that point of entry, right? It's like you're at the foundational level and we can really work on that because we are like a 40-watt bulb, but we're asking for 120 watts to come through us at any given time. And we have to be cautious because we're always requesting more, 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 more. But our cycles aren't like that. We bring in the 40 watts and then we go through the dormancy like the tree. We lose our leaves. We're in the darkness. Then we start to come out in spring and we're drawing more energy now. Now we're at 60 watts, right? It's always organic. And the more that you honor and respect and have charge over you and observe, you're a witness observer to the specifics of how you got to the answer, right? Instead of everyone having this illusion that somehow I just should channel on command. That's not the way that it works. Many of us are wired where we actually have to have someone ask us a question. Why
Yeah.
do you think I have you ask me a specific question on
Mhm.
this call?
Yeah.
Because it triggers the answer,
Yeah.
right? So this is the beauty of this. So I would say join in, because this is beautiful foundational work. And for some of you that are really evolved, this might be the next piece for you that increases the foundation, up levels you, but it's a more expansive, solid foundation for you to literally take the stage, right?
Wonderful.
And feel good about it.
Yeah, it's so good. Again, coming in at that foundational level, it's like, oh, so it's like, yeah, this is amazing to get you going in a just beautiful direction without having to hit bumps along the self-discovery road. It really sets a trajectory that's can just, you might be surprised how quickly things come in. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you will. One other question that came in about the retreat: if someone can't attend live, will it be just as effective if they listen to the replays?
You know, I'd like to think so. For me, everything that I do with Metatron's Cube, and you have to know this for anything in the future as well that I offer, but I set up everything in a temple. So it's in this Archangel Metatron temple. And when I activate the grid, I set this grid and I activate that grid with Metatron's Cube. It's in real time. I request it. I set this up. So as you enter the temple, if you will, and you're observing, watching, listening, what's happening is Metatron's Cube is activated in that very moment. Now, I know with Amanda, she's got her symbols that she works with, so she'll be activating the symbols in real time for you. But I also want you to know that if we need to do something, like if we need to do possibly like support, like a follow-up or something with you, you can always email. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, right? And you will be included in getting your intuitive readings done prior to that. So just like everyone else, you'll have all of that information going in while we're guiding you through these different clearings.
Yeah, amazing. So again, y'all, the link for the offer is in the chat box. Igniting Your Intuitive Power Live Virtual Retreat. You already know it's on there. Just take advantage of it. Again, $297, 2-payment option on it as well. And super easy to get the information once you check out from the system. And of course, we'll be running the replays for today's call. So much energy and so much information packed in here that I hope you come back and listen and tune back in and get into the rhythm of what's being awakened. Even just through the awareness of these energies and what's possible. So this is phenomenal. Amanda, what was the date for the live retreat again? April 30th?
April 30th. It's a Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time.
Fantastic. Christel, Amanda, this has been so fantastic. And thank you for my reading. It's resonated so much, and for demonstrating what's possible. And also, as those of y'all who decide to go deeper, with Christel and Amanda, no matter what they do in the special offer or not, it's something that I encourage you to explore. And so, Amanda, such a gift to have you on, and how special to do this interview this way. And Christel, I love you. You're a sister. It's just, it's always wonderful connecting. Such a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah. And everybody on the call, I love you guys. I'm so inspired about what y'all are bringing through, and your authority and your innocence and your power simultaneously. It's awe-inspiring, truly. And it's with that I bow in namaste to each and every one of you. Many blessings. I'll see you on the next call.